I never thought I'd be the guy posting about relationship woes online, but here I am. My name is Jake, and I'm 32 years old. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 6 years. At first, everything seemed perfect. We met in college, fell in love, and lived in this quaint little house in a quiet neighborhood just outside of Chicago. We had our share of ups and downs, like any couple, but a little bickering over where to eat or whose turn it was to do the laundry felt innocent. It was just life, right? But then, slowly, things started to change. Sarah, who used to be this vibrant, lively woman, began to withdraw. Her laughter became less frequent, and her late nights at work stretched into weeks. I'd try to ask her about it, but she'd brush me off with excuses. You know how it is in marketing, Jake. The end of the quarter is always hectic. I wanted to believe her, but something in the pit of my stomach told me otherwise. The first real sign that something was off came when I noticed she started using her phone with an unusual urgency. She'd suddenly have to take calls in another room or text with a hurried expression that I had never seen before. I felt like an intruder in my own home. One night, I caught a glimpse of her phone while she was away. A message popped up from a contact that wasn't saved. It was a name I didn't recognize, and it made my heart race. I thought about confronting her but decided to hold off until I had solid proof. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday, and I had planned on a cozy dinner for two. I came home early, excited to surprise her. As I walked into our bathroom, I noticed something odd. The mirror was fogged up, and there, scrawled in bright red lipstick, was my name, Jake. My heart sank as I stepped closer. It looked like my handwriting, but I knew it was. Sarah had always teased me about my awful penmanship. I froze as I took in the full picture. This wasn't just romantic, it was a betrayal. I didn't know what to think. My mind raced. Who wrote it? Why? It hit me like a ton of bricks. My gut feeling had been right all along. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and disappointment. I had to confront her. I didn't care about the dinner anymore. I needed answers. When she walked in, I was still standing there, staring at the mirror. Sarah stopped short, her eyes widening at the sight. "Oh, Jake, I can explain," she began, but I cut her off. I needed her to look me in the eye, to face the reality of what she had done, or at least what I suspected she had done. "I want the truth, Sarah. Who wrote my name on the mirror? Because I know that wasn't me." My voice was steadier than I felt. The look on her face shifted from shock to indignance. "It's just a joke. I swear it means nothing." She was trying to twist words, but I could see through her facade. I demanded she tell me everything. Did she think I was that naive? Her excuses tumbled out, one after another. It was just a silly prank. She had been feeling stressed, and maybe she had been flirting a little, but it didn't mean anything. I wanted to scream. Flirting with who? I pressed, and her face turned pale. The conversation spiraled. She denied everything, and I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. The woman I thought I knew, her laughter and warmth, faded under the weight of her lies. As she stumbled through her explanations, I realized that my heart was breaking, and I wasn't sure what to do next. This was the moment I would begin to plot my revenge, but first I needed to gather my strength. I knew I had to make a choice about how to respond to this betrayal. Looking back, the emotional roller coaster had only just begun. After that explosive confrontation, I felt like I was standing on shaky ground. The betrayal felt like a knife to my heart, but I also felt this strange clarity settling in. Sarah continued to ramble on about how she was just stressed, how it meant nothing. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. I could sense it. The way she hesitated, her eyes darting away, and the way she didn't look me straight in the eye, it all screamed guilt. I kicked her out of the bathroom and stormed into the living room, leaving her standing dumbfounded. The house that once felt like a home now felt like a cage, and all I could think about was getting to the bottom of this. I grabbed my phone and texted my best friend, Mark. He was one of the few people I trusted with my life, and I knew he'd have my back. "Need to talk. Urgent. Can you meet me at the bar?" I tried to process the conversation with Sarah, but it felt like my brain was in a fog. I couldn't help but replay her words in my mind, hopping to find something that felt real. I waited for Mark to show up, packing back and forth. When he finally arrived, I wasted no time. "Dude, she's cheating on me. I just found out, or at least I think I did." I quickly recounted the events of the evening, leaving out nothing. Mark listened closely, his expression shifting from concern to anger as I reached the part about the lipstick. Are you kidding me? That's brutal, man. What are you going to do? That was the million-dollar question. I could feel the rage bubbling under my skin. I'd never been the vengeful type, but the thought of Sarah with someone else made my blood boil. I want to find out who this guy is. I need to know. I can't just let this go. Mark nodded. You're going to need evidence. The lipstick is one thing, but you need something that proves she's been unfaithful. Let's dig into this. We spent the next few hours brainstorming and strategizing. Mark suggested we track her movements. He was tech-savvy and could easily manipulate things, like accessing phone records or checking for any suspicious activity on social media. I was hesitant at first, but the thought of waiting around while she continued to betray me felt like a waste of time. I needed to know. The following days turned into a blur. Mark and I crafted a plan. I would play the role of the oblivious husband while he kept an eye on Sarah's activities. We split up the tasks. I would keep her distracted while he scoured her social media for any signs of infidelity. The thought of lurking in the shadows felt embarrassing, but it was the only way to protect myself. One evening, I casually asked Sarah if she wanted to join me for dinner at our favorite restaurant. It was a place we'd celebrated anniversaries and milestones, and I thought it might get her to let her guard down. As we sat across from each other, I forced myself to maintain a relaxed demeanor, all while my heart raced underneath. I've missed this, she said, her smile looking almost genuine. But when I watched her fidget with her phone under the table, I felt the weight of her unfaithfulness pressing down on me. As our conversation drifted from light banter to heavier topics, I couldn't help but probe. Have you been feeling okay lately? You seem distant. Oh, just work stress, she replied too quickly, her eyes darting away. I've been really focused on my project. I held back a scoff. The same old excuse. The next day, Mark contacted me with a breakthrough. I found her. The guy she's been texting is named Tom. He's a coworker of hers. They've been meeting for drinks after work. My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I wanted to scream, to cry, to do anything but sit there and listen to Mark. Tom was new to her office, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being blindsided. I thought of all the times Sarah had come home late, all the excuses that used to feel harmless. I decided I needed to confront her again, but this time, armed with the knowledge of her betrayal. I felt like a ticking time bomb. Each passing hour only heightened my anticipation. I resolved to catch her off guard, to make her feel the weight of her choices. I was done being the oblivious husband. The strategy was set, and I steeled myself for the next encounter. Little did I know, things were about to get even more complicated. The night finally came when I decided to confront Sarah again, but this time I wouldn't be holding back. I spent the day running scenarios through my head, imagining how she might react when I laid out the truth. As I waited for her to come home, I felt this mix of dread and determination. I was ready for battle, and I wanted her. Feel the weight of her lies. When Sarah walked through the door, I was waiting for her in the living room, arms crossed, my heart pounding in my chest. We need to talk, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She froze, her eyes widening in confusion. Okay, about what? About you and Tom, I said, watching her face shift from surprise to a mask of defiance. It was incredible how quickly the truth could turn someone into a different person. What are you talking about? She shot back, her voice rising. You have no right to accuse me of anything. I took a step closer, my anger boiling beneath the surface. I know you've been meeting him after work. I know everything, Sarah. You can't lie your way out of this one. For a moment she seemed taken aback, her bravado faltering. Jake, you're being ridiculous. I don't know what you think you know, but it's not true. Oh, the lies. They spilled from her lips like water from a tap, and I could feel the rage rising in me. You wrote my name on the mirror in lipstick. What kind of sick joke is that? You think I wouldn't notice? Her composure returned and she rolled her eyes. You're blowing this way out of proportion. It was a joke, just a silly prank. You really don't trust me, do you? I trusted you, but you've shattered that trust into a million pieces. I was done playing games. I found out about Tom, and I want you to tell me the truth. Are you sleeping with him? Her silence said it all. The way she looked away, biting her lip, was everything I needed to know. I felt like I was falling into a dark abyss, my heart heavy with the realization that the woman I loved had become a stranger. "Just admit it, Sarah. You can't keep lying to me," I pleaded, desperation creeping into my voice. "Fine, I've been meeting him, okay, but it's not like that, you don't understand," she exclaimed, her hands clenching into fists. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Not like what? You think this is just some innocent friendship. You've crossed a line and you know it." Her defiance crumbled under the weight of my words, and for the first time I saw genuine fear in her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I was just feeling lonely and things with us haven't been great lately. So now it was my fault." My anger boiled over. "So you just decided to cheat on me instead of talking to me? How could you be so selfish?" She opened her mouth to protest, but I cut her off again. "You've destroyed everything we've built together, Sarah. I don't even know who you are anymore." Her anger flared back and she yelled, "I made a mistake, but it didn't mean anything. It's not like we were happy." I felt the heat of her words hit me like a slap. "So you were unhappy and this is your solution?" I asked, incredulous. "You think jumping into bed with someone else fixes anything?" The silence that followed was deafening. I wanted to scream, to throw things, but deep down, I felt the emptiness settle in. This wasn't just anger, it was sadness, disappointment, and a profound sense of loss. After a long pause, I shook my head. "I can't do this anymore. I can't just pretend like everything's fine. You've betrayed me and I need to figure out what's next." With that, I turned and walked out of the room. I needed space, a chance to collect my thoughts. I walked into the backyard, staring up at the night sky, feeling lost and broken. I thought about everything we had been through, the love we had built, and how quickly it had all unraveled. As I stood there, I realized that I wasn't just angry, I was heartbroken. The woman I had stood beside in front of friends and family, the one I had built a life with, had chosen someone else over me. I felt like I was mourning a relationship that was still alive but already dead, a cruel paradox that left me feeling hollow. I made my way back inside, ready to confront the reality of my situation. There was no going back now. I had to make a decision about how to move forward and what my life would look like without Sarah as I had known her. The betrayal felt like a wound that would take time to heal, but it was time to start. Considering my own path, the emotional journey was just beginning, and I would have to figure out what I truly wanted. The days that followed were an emotional whirlwind. After my confrontation with Sarah, everything felt like a blur. I needed space, and the house became a battleground of unspoken words and tension. I chose to sleep on the couch, forcing myself into a corner of the living room that was cold and uninviting. Each time I heard her move around the house, I felt a mix of anger and sadness creeping back in. In the mornings, I'd wake up and see her going about her routine as if nothing had changed. She'd prepare breakfast, flick on the TV, and go through the motions, but all of it felt surreal. I could barely eat, my appetite had vanished, and I felt like a ghost haunting our home. She'd occasionally ask if I wanted coffee or if I was okay, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. What could I say? "No, I'm not okay. You've been sleeping with another man." Mark was my lifeline during this time. He checked in constantly, making sure I was holding up. I would meet him at the bar or go for long drives, needing that escape from the suffocating atmosphere at home. He urged me to think about what I wanted from this mess, but the answers eluded me. After a particularly restless night, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I needed to confront Sarah one last time, but this time I was going to approach it differently. I was going to make her see how her choices had consequences, not just for me but for herself as well. One evening I sat Sarah down in the living room. The air was thick with tension. "We need to have a serious talk," I said, my voice steady but my heart racing. She looked at me and for a moment I saw a flicker of vulnerability. "What now?" she asked, exasperation lacing her tone. "I'm not here to yell or accuse you anymore," I said, taking a deep breath. "I want to understand why you felt it was okay to betray me. I want to know what you're thinking." She shifted uncomfortably in her seat, avoiding eye contact. "I don't know, Jake. I felt trapped. Everything seemed to be falling apart and I didn't know how to fix it." "By sleeping with Tom," I challenged. "That's how you thought you could fix things." She sighed, rubbing her temples. It was a mistake, a stupid mistake. I wasn't thinking straight. I was confused and overwhelmed. Confused, overwhelmed, those are choices, Sarah. You made a conscious decision to go down that path. Her frustration flared. Yes, I made a mistake, I admit that, but I didn't think it would lead to this. Lead to what? Me sitting here feeling like my entire world has crumbled. You could have talked to me instead of running away. I didn't know how. You were busy with work and I felt like I didn't matter anymore. The truth hit me like a brick. I had been so focused on my career, trying to provide for us and make a name for myself, that I hadn't noticed how distant we had become. But that didn't excuse her actions. So, you thought cheating was the answer. That's how you handle feelings of neglect. I don't know, I felt alive again with him. He listened to me and he made me feel special. You don't understand. I was taken aback. The idea of her seeking validation from someone else hurt more than I could articulate. It felt like a betrayal of the love we had built together. You think I don't understand? I've been there, Sarah. I've felt the pressure of work and responsibilities, but I never once thought of cheating on you. Her voice softened. I know, and I'm sorry, I really am. But I don't want to lose you. I love you. The words hung in the air, but they felt empty. The love I once felt for her was now overshadowed by hurt and anger. Do you really love me? Because love doesn't involve betrayal. It doesn't involve running to someone else when things get tough. Tears began to stream down her face, and I felt a mix of sympathy and frustration. What do you want from me, Jake? I'm scared. I don't want to lose you, but I don't know how to fix this. I want honesty, and I want you to understand the weight of your decisions. But I also need to take care of myself in this situation. That's when I realized I couldn't keep living in this cycle of pain and betrayal. I had to consider my own well-being. I think we need time apart to figure things out. I don't want to rush into decisions, but I can't stay here under these circumstances. Her face fell, and I could see the realization hitting her that our lives were about to change dramatically. Are you saying you want to separate? Yes, I said firmly. I need space to think, to breathe. I can't keep pretending everything is okay. The look on her face broke my heart, but it also felt liberating. I made my decision. I would take the time to heal and figure out what I truly wanted. This was the start of a new chapter for me, a chance to reclaim my life and find clarity amid the chaos. The aftermath of that decision would be tough, but I felt a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, this could lead to healing, whether it meant rebuilding our relationship or finding a new path entirely. I was ready to face whatever came. Next, the days following my decision to separate from Sarah were the most tumultuous of my life. I moved my belongings into the spare bedroom and told her I needed time to think. Living in such close quarters was painful, each meal served in silence, each shared space heavy with unspoken words. The walls felt like they were closing in around me, amplifying the distance between us. I spent hours in my new room, trying to get my thoughts in order. It felt surreal to see her in the kitchen making coffee, her laughter echoing from the living room as she spoke to a friend on the phone. I felt like I was watching a movie, one where I was the hapless spectator rather than an active participant. I wanted to scream, to shake her and make her understand how deeply she had hurt me. But I also knew that in order to heal, I had to cool my anger and find a way to regain my mental balance. Mark was my sounding board through it all. He would swing by with takeout or bring a six-pack, ready to listen to me vent. You've got to take care of yourself. First, Jake, this is your chance to find out who you are outside of this relationship, he'd say, and I'd nod, but the truth was, it was hard to see the light at the end of this tunnel. One night, as I sat on my bed scrolling through social media, I came across a post from Sarah. It was a picture of her smiling with Tom at a bar, drinks in hand. The caption read, "Making new memories with people who truly appreciate you." It felt like a dagger to my heart. I couldn't believe she would flaunt her infidelity so openly. Anger surged through me, and I quickly shut my phone off, tossing it onto the bed as if it were a venomous snake. That image stuck with me, replaying in my mind like an unwanted visitor. I could feel the betrayal burning inside me. I had made my decision to separate, but now I was questioning everything. Could I really move forward knowing she was out there, building a new life with someone else? I needed to confront those feelings. The next day I called Mark. I can't keep letting this consume me. I want to know what she's doing. If she's serious about Tom, I need to see it for myself. Mark hesitated. You sure about that, man? It could just make things worse. I need closure. I need to know if this is really over. After some convincing, Mark agreed to help me. We devised a plan. I would casually bump into Sarah and Tom at a bar downtown. He'd be watching from a distance, ready to give me the support I needed. I donned my best I'm totally fine outfit, a dark button-up shirt and jeans, and set off, my heart pounding in my chest. Arriving at the bar, I felt like I was walking into a lion's den. The place was dimly lit with a vibrant atmosphere, laughter and chatter swirling around me. I scanned the crowd and felt a surge of anxiety when I spotted Sarah and Tom sitting at a corner table, leaning into each other, their heads closed together. The sight made my stomach churn. I texted Mark. I see them. I'm going in. Be cool, man, you've got this, he replied. Taking a deep breath, I approached their table, forcing a casual expression onto my face. Well, if it isn't the dynamic duo, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Sarah's eyes widened in surprise and a look of panic flickered across Tom's face. Jake, what are you doing here? She asked, her voice a mix of shock and guilt. Oh, just checking out the scene, I replied, my tone light but my heart racing. Looks like you two are having a good time. Tom cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably in his seat. Hey man, we were just grabbing a drink. How's everything? Sarah shot him a look and I could see the tension in her body language. Everything's fine with me, Tom, I said, my gaze fixed on Sarah. How are things with you two? She opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out. I could see the guilt washing over her face as reality sank in. It's going well, she finally managed to say, but her voice lacked conviction. At that moment, I felt a mixture of anger and sadness wash over me. You don't have to lie, Sarah. I know what's been happening between you and Tom. You don't owe me anything anymore, but don't pretend it's something it's not. The noise of the bar faded into the background as I focused solely on them. Sarah looked flustered, her eyes darting between Tom and me. Jake, save it, I interrupted. I came here to see if this was all real, if you were really moving on, and I can see now that you are, so go ahead and enjoy your night. I turned to leave, my composure crumbling as I stepped outside for fresh air. I needed to escape the heavy atmosphere inside. My heart raced as I leaned against the wall, trying to catch my breath. It felt like I was on a roller coaster, and I was terrified of what lay ahead. Mark caught up with me moments later, his expression filled with concern. What happened? Are you okay? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself, but I felt raw. I saw them together. She's really moved on, Mark. It's over. He nodded, understanding the weight of that realization. That's a good thing in a way, man. Now you can truly start to heal and move forward. As I stood there, I realized that while the pain felt almost unbearable, there was a shred of relief in knowing the truth. I didn't have to wonder anymore, and I could finally begin to let go. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was mine to navigate. I would take it one step at a time, knowing that I had the support of my friends and the strength within myself to move forward. I had survived the storm, and now it was time to rebuild. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to face it head-on. The days turned into weeks, and the aftermath of that confrontation weighed heavily on my mind. I had seen Sarah and Tom together, and while it hurt, there was a strange sense of liberation that came with knowing the truth. I began to focus on myself, redirecting all that pent-up energy and frustration into rebuilding my life without her. I started hitting the gym regularly, rediscovering the joy in physical activity. There was something therapeutic about lifting weights, pushing my body to its limits. Each drop of sweat felt like a release from the emotional turmoil I had been carrying. Mark joined me a few times. We'd joke about the ridiculousness of our lives while we worked out, and I found solace in those moments of camaraderie. In addition to hitting the gym, I took up hiking, exploring nature trails in the nearby woods. There was something calming about being outdoors, away from the chaos of my old life. I listened to podcasts and music, finding motivation in stories of resilience and recovery. I learned to appreciate my solitude, to embrace the quiet moments, and to rediscover who I was without the constant shadow of betrayal looming over me. One afternoon, after a particularly invigorating hike, I sat on a rock overlooking a beautiful valley. I took a deep breath, letting the fresh air fill my lungs, and felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over me. It hit me then, I was starting to feel like myself again. My life was mine to control, and I could choose the direction I wanted to go. In the following weeks, I also started to take an interest in my career again. I had let work take a backseat during the chaos of my marriage falling apart, but now I was ready to dive back in. I began networking, attending events, and even taking a few online courses to enhance my skill set. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, ambitious and ready to conquer challenges that lay ahead. Meanwhile, Sarah kept reaching out, trying to engage in conversations about us. Each time, I felt a mix of anger and sadness. I reminded myself of the lessons I had learned during the separation. I couldn't allow myself to be pulled back into the same cycle of hurt. I had to stand firm in my decision. I needed to protect myself, and I realized that I had become stronger than I ever thought possible. One evening, Sarah texted me asking if we could meet and talk. I agreed, but only under the condition that it would be a neutral place, a coffee shop where we wouldn't be interrupted. I wanted to face her one last time, to put everything out on the table before fully closing that chapter of my life. When I arrived, she was already seated at a table, her fingers nervously tapping on the surface. Seeing her again brought a flood of memories, but I pushed them aside. I needed to stay focused. "Jake, I'm glad you came," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I've been doing a lot of thinking." "Me too," I replied, keeping my tone measured. "Let's cut to the chase, Sarah. You wanted to talk, so let's talk." She took a deep breath, her expression softening. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, and I'm so sorry for that. I wanted to apologize and take responsibility for my actions. I didn't realize how much I had taken you for granted." I nodded, absorbing her words. "I appreciate the apology, but it doesn't change what happened. You made choices that affected both of us, and I can't just forget that." "I know, and I understand if you don't want to talk to me again," she continued, tears glistening in her eyes. "But I do want you to know that I've realized what I lost. I've been reflecting on my own issues and working on myself. I don't expect us to get back together, but I wanted to reach out and give you that closure." Her honesty was refreshing, and for the first time since we started this conversation, I felt a sense of empathy for her. "I think we both need closure, Sarah. What we had was real, but it's not the same anymore. I've moved on, and I'm working on myself." The conversation flowed from there, moving through the emotions of our past and the realization of what lay ahead. It was difficult, but it also felt like a necessary step. We spoke about our good times and acknowledged the love we once had, but I was resolute in my decision to move forward. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the cafe windows, I felt lighter. Leaving that chapter behind was freeing. We parted ways amicably, both knowing that our lives were meant to take different paths. In the months that followed, I continued to focus on myself. I pursued new hobbies, deepened friendships, and even began dating again. It was awkward at first. I had to navigate the complexities of opening my heart to someone new. But I was determined not to let my past dictate my future. Looking back at the experience, I realized that the betrayal had forced me to confront the depths of my own strength. I learned that it was okay to feel hurt and angry, but it was essential to channel that energy into growth. I started to believe in love again, knowing that the right person would respect and cherish me. I wanted to share this journey not just for me, but for anyone who might find themselves in a similar situation. It's painful when trust is broken, but it's possible to rise from the ashes. Surround yourself with supportive friends, take time for self-reflection, and remember that you deserve happiness. It might take time, but if you focus on healing and growth, you can emerge even stronger. As I look forward to whatever lies ahead, I feel a sense of hope and renewal. Life is unpredictable, but I know that I am capable of navigating it, one step at a time.